Okay, the first speaker, our so as I mentioned before, the speech is based on the pathways pattern, the pathways module, and our speakers will follow the effective coaching module. The objective of this module or the purpose of this project is to present a speech on any topic, receive feedback, and apply the feedback to a second speech. I think this is the second speech of our speaker. The title of the speech is Never Been to Me. The time it will be delivered for 5 to 7 minutes. And the evaluator of this speech is Toastmaster PB Makituhan. But I think Toastmaster Heather is the evaluator of the first speech. So Toastmaster Heather will also give feedback about it. And fellow Toastmaster, let us welcome our first speaker, Toastmaster Inah Tolentino. Take it away, Inah.
I've been to paradise, but I've never been to me. Fellow Toastmasters, are you familiar with this song? This song and its lyrics resonate a lot of truth about my life, so I'd like to share it with you. Before this pandemic, I was living a totally different life. At any given day, you probably would find me on a cable car going up to Santorini, or maybe having lunch in Venice, or on a really good day, I'd probably be basking under the glorious scenery of Norway. And these are all because of my previous job. Actually, the lyrics of this song that says, I had been to Nice and the islands of Greece while I sipped champagne from a yacht. These lyrics are a literal translation to my life. Let me show them to you. I had been to Nice and the islands of Greece while I sipped champagne from a yacht. If that is not a literal reflection of my life, I don't know what is. I'm showing you this just to give you an idea of what my life was before everything was taken from me. COVID-19 changed my life abruptly. Everything that I identified myself with was taken from me. And I had to find a way to get to know myself again. So I decided to go on an internal journey, a journey into me. And honestly, so far, that trip is like cruise from hell on really, really stormy weather. In the beginning of the pandemic and the lockdowns, I actually had a series of panic attacks. I felt like all these changes were giant waves crushing over me, and I felt like I was on a sinking vessel. With the help of my family, friends, and my therapist, actually, I eventually found my sea legs again. I was able to stand and find balance through the rocking and rolling of this very tumultuous time of my life. As a seafarer, I am very much aware that even when the seas are rough, it does not mean I'm sinking. And that little piece of truth from my own experience brought me some sort of peace. After I learned to embrace all those changes, I had to learn to have faith. And I had to have faith on two things. One, on the integrity of my vessel, and second, on the skills of my captain. The vessel in this case, of course, represents who I am. This is all the years that I had been tested time and again through the many trials in life. This is the years that I built my character, and I had to learn to have faith on that. I realized that I had been through many storms before and I made it. I made it through it, and this should not be any different. I can make it again. And I realized that what I have in me is not only unbreakable, but it is also unsinkable. The captain at the helm, of course, in this case, is the greater power in whom I submit my life to. I always believed in God, but this opportunity gave me a chance to move past believing and to start trusting. On my own, I don't have any idea how to get out of this storm, but I trust that the captain would. I believe and trust that not only can he navigate through these storm seas, but he can lead me out of it and bring me to where the seas are calmer and the sun could be shining brightly on me again. Lastly, I learned to value my crewmates. These are the people who never left my side. My husband, who had been my solid rock, my children, who had always inspired me to move forward, and friends who supported even from afar. Even though I decided to do this journey on my own, I learned that I was never alone. And that truth brought me healing and it brought me peace. COVID-19 stole many things from me indeed. It took from me my job, my career, all of these opportunities to travel the world. But you know what it failed at? It failed to rob me of my peace. And it failed to snatch from me the gratitude that I have for the people and things that I do still have. And although it did rock my boat, oh God, it did. But it failed to make me sink. So I stand before you today. I may not be able to go far and wide to travel the world and see paradise, but I learned that looking at what I have and whom I have in life is paradise indeed. I had been to paradise and I found it in me. Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Inah. That's thank you for sharing your experience about COVID and what happened or what is your situation today. But as you mentioned, you found paradise. So our next speaker, his pathways level is about persuasive influence. And this is a level three of persuasive influence. And the objective of this speech, of this project, is to deliver a speech with humor. It is about 5 to 7 minutes, and the evaluator is our guest from Toastmaster guest from India, Nilesh Karande, and fellow Toastmaster, the title of the speech is What I Learned in the Philippines. Fellow Toastmaster and guests, let us welcome Toastmaster Jeff Han. Take it away, Jeff.
Good afternoon, everyone. There's a saying, adventures are the best way to learn. Actually, to me, adventures is not only the best way to learn, but also a fun learning experience. And at the same time, will let you really memorize whatever you learn through the adventure you had. Let me share with you some of my experience. When I first landed in the Philippines back in the 1990s, I was sent here as an engineer. Actually, before I was sent to the Philippines, there already has been a former employee who was sent here. He is a PhD in computer science, but he had some problem communicating with the local staff. So since I'm a better English speaker among other candidates, the management decided to sent me to the Philippines to help him. So back then, I just graduated from school, I think, after 1 year. So I'm still very young and I don't know much about Philippines. I heard that it's an English-speaking country, so English should be okay there. But after I land in the Philippines, I find out something strange. When I talk to my local office mates, I can understand them and they seem to understand me. But when they talk to each other, I couldn't understand anything. Isn't that very strange? Why, how come I can understand when I talk to them, but when they talk to each other, I don't understand? So I talked to my colleague from China. I said, Dr. Zhou, you know, there's something strange. I couldn't understand anything. They talk in the office. Dr. Zhou told me, oh, of course, the English here is terrible. They have a very strong accent. Oh, I see, okay. But how come I can understand them when I talk to them? And Dr. Zhou said, maybe you didn't talk to them so much, or maybe when they talk to you, they speak very slowly so that you can understand. Still, this question bears in me for a few days. So I have to bring it up to one of my local office mates. And then I got the answer. Okay, when they talk to me, they spoke English. When they talk to each other, they spoke Tagalog. That's why. So isn't that something obvious there? But by them, since I'm the first, this is my first adventure here in the Philippines, I didn't know that there's a local language here which called Tagalog. So, okay, now I know. And after many years, our family settled back here in the Philippines. I used to travel between Philippines and China in a monthly base. So quite often I travel between Beijing and Manila. It's a long flight. So since I travel very often and it's from my own pocket, I chose economic flight from Beijing to Manila and Manila to Beijing. It's an economic flight, meaning to say it will fly at the time which is not very convenient for other passengers. So the flight I often took is from 1 a.m. to 5 a.m. So it will fly 1 a.m. from Beijing to arrive 5 a.m. in Manila. Who's gonna take this flight? Normally it's a tourist who is on a budget. Most of them actually, it's the first time they go out of China and it's the first time they land here in the Philippines. So there was this time, I took this flight. When I landed in Naiya airport, we have to pass immigration before you can enter the country. So there's this guy in front of me. Apparently, it's the first time he landed here in the Philippines. Maybe it's also the first time for him to travel abroad. Everybody is so tired and a little bit sleepy, and the line in the immigration is so long. So finally, it's his turn. So he went there to the officer and then handed in his passport. You know, recent years, there's a policy for Chinese travelers to the Philippines. Your visa will not be printed on your passport. Instead, they will give you a paper. The visa is sticking on that paper. So you need to keep that paper together with your passport. So when he only gave the passport to the immigration officer, the officer said, "Visa." And then he said, "What?" he's a little bit blank there. The officer said again, "Visa." So this guy started to search in his bag. And then he took out his wallet. And then he take out a credit card. And then pass it to the immigration officer. The officer is also a little bit, don't know what's going on there. So he said again, "Visa." And then he knocked on the table. This guy, the Chinese guy, is also a little bit, don't know what's going on. And then he pointed at his credit card. "Yes, Visa. You see, Visa." The immigration officer is really like, I don't know if he is angry or he's feeling wants to laugh. So he pointed at me. You come here. You explain the visa paper. Okay. So with my little help and assistance, finally, this guy, he passed the immigration and he was able to continue his tour here in the Philippines. I'm not sure if he will enjoy and remember his trip here in the Philippines, but I'm sure that he will remember his experience at the immigration officer, and he will remember the word visa not only means the print visa on his credit card, but also means the visa sticker on the paper. So here's my experience I want to share with you, and I hope everybody of us can soon start our next adventure and learn in a very fun and memorable way. Back to you, Toastmaster of the Day, Sir Nielsen.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Jeff. You make me laugh. I can use that joke. So our last portion is the evaluation. This is the feedback. It is the so-called the feedback of champions. Before our evaluation team will give the feedback, I think we're going to have a few minutes break. Can we have 10 minutes break? Then we're going to the evaluation portion of our meeting. 10 minutes break. Okay, fellow Toastmaster, it's already 2:50, 2:51. So we are at the third portion of our session for today, and this is probably one of the most important topic or part of every Toastmaster meeting, because here we're going to receive immediate, the speakers receive immediate feedback from other Toastmasters. So I'd like to call the General Evaluator for today, our guest from India. I'd like to call Toastmaster Nilesh B. Karande. Take it away, Nilesh.
What a nice afternoon, fellow Toastmasters, and what a nice meeting. I will go straight on to the business. As per the agenda, we are going to have the evaluations on the prepared speeches to start with, or sorry, the table topic evaluations will happen first. Now there is a catch. Our table topic evaluator participated in the table topics, so he will be evaluated by Toastmaster Inah. So I would let Toastmaster 1 finish his evaluation on the table topics, and then I would go to Toastmaster Inah for evaluating Toastmaster 1. Then we will go on to prepared speech evaluations. After that, I will call for the functionary reports, and then I will try to put some comments or give some suggestions on or the observations on the today's meeting. How do we, what did we do? What did we prove, and what did we need to improve? Cool. So without further ado, let me welcome Toastmaster 1 Callanta for doing the table topics evaluation. Toastmaster Van, bring it up.
Uh, Thank you, General Evaluator. So the purpose of table topic evaluation is to evaluate everyone who delivers a table topic. So what I want to evaluate first is our table topic master. What I like that you did is I see that all the questions are carefully selected and also related to Christmas season. So because of that, I feel some spirit of the Christmas. You speak very comfortable. Most young people are very afraid to speak publicly, but you are not. Then what I want you to work on is maybe you can add some table topics if there are only few prepared speakers, just like we have this. And however, all in all, you did a great job in doing your as a table topic master. Then I will evaluate NJ. What I like about NJ is you turn a negative happenings in your life to become a great lesson in your life. You show strength to become an inspiration for your siblings and for your mother. And in what I also like is what you said, that in life there is time of sorrow and grief that will test your character. Because of that, we must be capable of managing our emotions, or else our emotions will manage us. And I definitely agree with that quote of yours. And what I like you to work on is maybe you can check the time, because for the table topic we only have 1 to 2 minutes to finish our speech. But all in all, you did a great job delivering your speech. Then the last one is Kiel. What I like about Kiel is that you want to have a peace of mind by having a vaccine. I remember one of my colleagues said, on January, I have so many goals, but now I just want to stay alive until the end of 2020 because we've been through so much during this pandemic. What I want you to work on is maybe you can tell your audience what's in it for them. Maybe you can say, during this Christmas season, we should not focus on material things, but instead giving comfort to one another, because we've all been through tough times during this pandemic. But all in all, you did a great job. Now, now back to our general evaluator.
Thank you, Van, for that elaborate evaluation on the table topics. Now, how would I help you on making that evaluation even better? When I saw that you were dwelling on the content that was shared in the speech. That was awesome. When a table topic speaker attempts a topic, as we have seen on the screen, there are structures to it. Now, you or we all as an evaluator should make them aware that what pattern they followed and what could have been the better pattern given to that topic. It could serve as a suggestion for improvement. I would cease my language at that point, and I would now request Toastmaster Inah to evaluate your table topic speech.
Thank you for that, Sir Nilesh. And for Van, I would like to commend you for your answer. You gave a very appropriate answer, which is celebration, and I think you used prep format, because you mentioned what I think the question was, if I'm not mistaken, what are you most looking forward to? And you said what it was, and you explained why. And the answer is very relatable to all of us. Perhaps if I could make a suggestion, I think you could have made it more heartfelt in a way that perhaps you could highlight the absence of celebration. So the celebration answer would make an even better impact. Overall, it was a very hopeful and inspiring answer for that question, and well done.
Thank you, Inah. What a wonderful evaluation, and I totally second whatever you just said. The topic for his speech was dragging him towards more happier moment than what he described. He had a very nice storytelling ability. He needs to work on little bit of eye contact and the vocal variety when he's talking. Selection of the topic definitely needs to improve. I agree with you. And thanks a lot for that wonderful evaluation once again. Thank you. Now, let us move on to the next section of the general evaluation. That is the evaluation of the prepared speeches. To evaluate first speaker, let me go to the agenda. Speaker number 1, as per the agenda goes, the speaker number 1 is Jeff, and to evaluate, okay, there is a change in the slide and in the agenda. I can see this. Okay, let us go with the evaluation from Phoebe, who is evaluating Toastmaster Inah's speech. Over to you, Phoebe. Bring it up. Evaluator number 2. And I had an tough task, I should say, to evaluate Toastmaster Jeff Hahn's humorous speech. I had took my notes, and I will start from the method, what proved well and where we need to improve. So, first of all, he started with a quote. Very gripping technique to get your audience attention. Then he developed his story, whatever his life experience was, and what were the funny part of those experiences. There were 2 stories. I like the structure of the speech. It flowed very well. He has this immaculate ability to create situations, drag you along with it, and make you feel as if you are there. I could relate when one fellow joins a foreign land and there could be a language problem. He explained it so very well that what is the language? To Tagalog. That they speak in Tagalog when they talk to each other, but they speak with me in English. And that was an intended humor that we audience, as a audience, we need to mature enough to digest that and laugh to it. So many points he has a very subtle style of creating humor in his stories. Kudos to you, Jeff. I loved the second part even more than the first part, where you described how the visa, the similarity of the visa word could create a confusion, and unknowingly, how can we land up in tricky situations. I assure you, along with that fellow, I will never forget that incident, what visa meant at the airport in Philippines. So good job, well done on creating that point. It really brought out the humor as for the target of the, or as for the purpose of the speeches. You ended on high note. Now, as I said, let us move on for an improvement section. I felt there could have been more humor than which was already in the speech, because the primary purpose of this speech is to know your sense of humor. Now, there are few pointers I would suggest you to go on. Whenever we attempt a humorous speech, we bring our audience at a stage where they are ready to accept humor. Like you start with a quote from, this is just my suggestion. It's like an opinion, like noses, everyone has one. So start with a quote from Charlie Chaplin, "A day without humor is a day wasted." Then you go on reeling your story into it. So now I am, even if I have been reading the purpose of the speech, now as an audience, I am ready for humor. The summarization of the speech, the 2 stories, is little here and there. That can be improved. The conclusion, as I said, could have been better. And I would personally feel that the second incident could start, and then you can reel into the first incident that you quoted in the structure of your speech. All in all, I loved, I laughed, and that's all we need from that particular target speech. Kudos to you. Thank you. Now, how would I improve myself? I would request either Nelson or Rahul to take up stage and help me doing better evaluation on this speech. So that is kind of humor you need to create on spot.
Yeah, DTM Raul our president can do that.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Toastmaster Nilesh. What I like about the feedback that you gave is how encouraging you are for Jeff. As a matter of fact, yes, I like how you're. I totally agree how he might have been able to add a bit of humor. My recommendation is how would he be able to add humor? Perhaps you might want to suggest, Jeff, if you could make the second story a bit more concise, that would give you the opportunity to have more time to add humor. So what he could have done, remember, the main point of his second speech was the visa adventure. So to make it concise, the part about I had to take economy class something, that one could have been removed. So go to the part one time while I was at the airport with a fellow countryman from China. The guy was asked something, and then that way he would have time for another humorous point. So giving him the recommendation on how he can do it, that would help our recipient. Still very encouraging. Thank you very much. I hand control back to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Toastmaster Rahul. I'll always love your evaluations. I especially love the last one which you gave to my speech, and that is why I'm obliged